What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Milan Club South Africa podcast. This is the second episode for the season so far. You can catch our first episode. I will include the link in the description. And joining us once again is Fred.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here as always.
And also Firoz.
How's it, guys?
Who doesn't want to be seen on camera today for some obscure reason. He's there somewhere in the darkness.
Private jokes.
Yeah. Well, we've seen the start of Serie A. It's 2 wins out of 2, and I think that's what we'll discuss first. We'll also talk a little bit about the Champions League, Milan's transfer window. There's 20 odd hours left. There's some serious drama going on there. And speaking of drama, Kessie, it's been the talk of the timeline this last week. But let's get straight into it. What did you make of the opening game against Sampdoria?
I thought it was actually quite a tight game. I thought there were a couple of times where they looked like they might score. It was very end-to-end, I think. But yeah, happy that we got the points. It's the most important thing. We got off to a winning start.
Yeah. We also, like the one thing, right, you mentioned it was a tight game, but the one thing we got to see, and I think a lot of us were looking forward to seeing, is Mike Mignon in goal. First clean sheet and really quite an incredible display. He made a few point-blank saves, and, that he played a few fantastic passes over the top of the defense. We haven't seen Donnarumma do that. So I think he was one of the standout players. Fred, do you agree? Was it anyone else for you?
Yes, I think I'm very impressed with Brahim Diaz, actually. I think I was one of the people who didn't really think he deserved to be given the number 10 because he was a bench player last season, and going from the bench to carrying the attack, it was a bit too much of a leap. But so far, especially the first game, I think the first game was very good for him, not just because of the goal, but also the way he set up the offense and created chances, and it looks very comfortable in that new role of his. He really is owning that role. He's taking the responsibility and going with it, and he's not backing out, and it doesn't look afraid. He likes taking on defenders and doing bold moves to create chances. And I think he's even more mature than he was last season, and it's looking promising for him.
I think you're right, and you could see the way he was playing. He wasn't also shying away from the play. He wanted the ball. He was dictating play. He dropped deep to get the ball. He was making runs wide. He was everywhere. And I mean, for a player in that number 10 role, I think it's vital to have all of those skills. And like you said, he's looking a lot more mature than he was last season, and we saw more of that in the second game against Cagliari. If we want to move on to that, the Sampdoria game was almost completely different to the Cagliari game. And, a lot of Milan fans are hesitant to look at this team and think, okay, we got goals. Where's the goals? Where's the goals coming from? We still haven't brought in a proper number 10, quote unquote, and a right winger. And Milan showed that they have the goals. The guys rely on, Leao, Brahim Diaz, even Salamakers really played well, I think. And if Milan wanted to, they could have easily put 6 past Cagliari. So, Firoz, what were your thoughts on that game?
No, I was just disappointed that we didn't add more goals in the second half. I thought 4-1 up at halftime. I thought maybe we're going to get 6 or 7 goals. Disappointed Giroud also didn't get his hat-trick, but overall, positive disappointments, I thought also, Giroud played an amazing game. Overall, link-up play, hold-up play, his runs, his finish for the first goal was unbelievable.
Yes.
It was amazing. Even Krunic for me had a good game.
Very good.
Someone that's not too popular with Milan fans. Also saw Castillejo got his run out right at the end. I was wondering now if that's maybe like a signal, like a goodbye in front of the home fans. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a brilliant game from us. Also disappointed actually that Leao didn't get on the score sheet because I thought he had a really good game.
Actually, because officially, I think he was awarded a goal.
Oh, yes, he was. Yeah. Yes. The deflection from Diaz was awarded to Leao.
Yeah.
So, yeah, happy Tonali also finally got his first goal for the club. It was a fantastic free kick. I don't know if you guys saw the video of his first goal for Milan, and I think it was Pirlo's first goal for Milan.
Yeah.
The free kicks, they were like identical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he had a good game in the first game against Sampdoria, and I'm happy that Tonali, like, he carried it through with like probably an even better performance going into the Cagliari game.
I think the first thing I noticed between the two games, between the Sampdoria game and the Cagliari game, is that I don't think we looked sharp against Sampdoria physically. I think we still, like, we're trying to get in the rhythm. Like a lot of those players looked, I don't know, I won't say out of shape, but still out of rhythm. They still were trying to find the fit. And I think it's like when I watched the second game is when I saw like players playing with conviction, and they looked sharper. Even Giroud looked like he was running a lot and was making plays and asking for the ball all the time. It was nice to see. And for Tonali, I think I'm really happy to see how confident he looks this season. Like you would think he's been here for 5 years. Like he's just sitting in the midfield and like asking for the ball, like running after the ball every time we lose it. Like it's such a joy to watch. Because last season, my biggest criticism of Tonali was that he looked like he didn't belong there. He always looked like he was shy, like he didn't know what to do, like he didn't know what
to do.
Naive.
Yeah. He seemed far too naive,
Starstruck.
But in that space, right, you think like second half of the season, last season, he put in some solid performances. I think there was one against Napoli. He came on against Inter that Milan were losing, and he looked like Milan's best player. So he's just grown in the space of like 6 months. He's almost a completely unrecognizable player, and it's good that he got his first goal. I think it's even better that he got it at San Siro in front of the fans, something like that for someone who took a pay cut. I think you mentioned it in the tweet. Who took a pay cut to actually stay, and you can see how he reacted to scoring that goal, and that's something that's only going to spur him on. Which brings me to my next question. We mentioned Krunic. Is Benacer ready to start? For me, he looked seriously off the boil. And going forward, who are you gonna? Can you actually remove Sandro Tonali from the starting 11 when he's been one of Milan's best players?
The best thing about what we have seen so far, like with Krunic and Tonali, is right now we don't have to rush Kessie or Benacer. Obviously, we want them back as soon as possible. But what killed us last season is that we were forcing our main starters like into the game way too early. Remember last year, Benacer came back from injury and then
he got re-injured.
Again. Like we don't have that problem anymore because surprisingly, Krunic is great. I'm the first person to be surprised because I'm not Krunic's biggest fan, but I don't. It's not the kind of player I want to see in the starting 11 every weekend. But even I have to admit that he surprised me in the first 2 games because even against Sampdoria, it was solid. He was running after the ball and like recovering a lot of balls, and it looked sharp overall. Against Cagliari, it was even better. And someone mentioned that like his combination of black socks and black boots and
yes, I saw that. Changed.
Man, he's
just
like
makes it
giving serious 2000 midfield
yes.
general vibes. Like he turned into Patrick Vieira there in the middle very, very quickly.
But even in the post-match interview with Pioli, he spoke about when they came back from pre-season for this season, and he said he noticed three players that really matured a lot, and it was Tonali, Krunic, and Leao.
Yes, and you can see it.
He said he noticed them from the beginning in pre-season. They matured and they were ready. They were more ready.
From Pioli, we have seen that even Leao looks like a completely different player from last season. Like he's running a lot more, and he's looking a lot more dangerous as well. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it
I think
just looks
he's
like
also he seems more understanding of the tactics and of his role. Like
Of how
where
to play
in the
left
past
wing.
he would, I think, previously try and hug the line, and Theo Hernandez plays game where he likes to overlap. So I think he understands now what his role is in that system. And someone like Giroud, I mean, we saw it in the Cagliari game where he played that back heel flick around the corner and
Yeah.
Leao just peeled off the defender and went. And he should have scored, let's be real. But it's more things like that where he's showing the maturity to be in those positions. He just needs the consistency to match it.
it's actually great that you mentioned that, because that opportunity he got from Giroud just showed me that the way Leao plays like on that left wing and the way Salamanca's plays on that right wing is completely different, because sometimes Leao looks a little bit like a second striker to Giroud.
Yeah.
While
He cuts in more.
while Salamanca looks a lot more like a midfielder, like coming like inside next to Brahim Diaz and Tonali and the rest. So it's kind of a good thing I saw there, because a lot of times you see defenders like trying to stop Giroud from making runs and finding space. So Leao finds space based on that, because defenders tend to forget his runs, like the one he got from Giroud that he missed. I don't even know how he missed that. I think he waited way too long to shoot, but it was a great play. And I think playing like that is going to open up a lot of opportunities for him, because a lot of strikers will focus on either Zlatan or Giroud, which would allow him to make runs from the left. And I'm just enjoying watching that, because it makes us look unpredictable. Because even if Leao is not there, Rebic also likes playing like that. So we have options. We have Giroud and Zlatan in the middle. Like one of them can start. Then we have Leao or Rebic, and one of them can start. And all four of them are really not different in terms of quality. Like if you don't have Leao and you have Rebic, you still can get goals. If you don't have Giroud and you have Zlatan, obviously you're gonna have goals. So it's a nice thing to see. And I've noticed that with our team this season, that we have so many options. Like you look at the midfield now. We have Tonali, Krunic, Bakayoko, Kessie, Benacer. Like I don't even know how Pioli is gonna handle that, because I'm having a headache just thinking about it. Because right now Tonali doesn't deserve to be benched. And to be honest, not even Krunic doesn't deserve to be benched. But at the same time, you cannot bench Benacer and Kessie. They have to play. So, and Bakayoko comes in, and then you like Bakayoko should get some minutes. And how do you do that?
Definitely.
But it's a good problem to have. It's a really good problem to have.
Yeah. At least also we know if we covered, if we later on in the season we move to like a 4-3-3, we have 3 midfield spots. Or if we move, I saw a lot of reports saying like Giroud and Ibra might play together. In the Sampdoria game, we saw at the end we switched to a 3-man backline. I think it was a 3-5-2, another formation where you need 3 midfielders.
Yeah.
So we sorted in the midfield department whether we're going to play with 2 midfielders or 3. Plus Kessie and Benassa are going to AFCON.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not even stressed about that, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
I think if Tonali and Krunic like keep playing like this, and if Bakayoko like regain his form and like plays the way he played the last time he was here, then we should be more than fine, I think. But I'm really curious about the 3-5-2, because I think it's a formation that will work really well for us, because we have Romagnoli and Tomori and Kier, 3 I won't say excellent because the Romagnoli is,
He's a bit suspect. He's not the
Yes.
Romagnoli of old.
I want to see more of him to judge whether he's.
I mean, Romagnoli in a 3 might actually work really well with someone as quick as Tomori, because then you
Tomori,
have someone who
yeah.
can sweep up, and Simon Kjær is so solid. But you mentioned that, and it's a good point. Like, you might end up getting more out of Theo Hernandez, but as a depth
Yes,
option, as a different option for Pioli, Florenzi as a right wing back
Yes.
can cause some
Yes, right.
serious
Yeah.
damage, because he has
Yeah.
played at right wing, he's played at right back, he's played at central midfield, and I think that's we can talk about the recruitment a little bit later, but just to touch on it, the players that were brought in really cater to different needs. And if you look back to last season, when injuries hit, Milan didn't have much flexibility in terms of the way they set up. And you can chalk that down to Pioli's limitations or squad depth. Now there's no excuse. The squad depth is 100% there. So, I mean, the saying is there's many ways to skin a cat. And for Milan, that rings true. Also, guys, Champions League draw. We have to go over this. Liverpool, Atletico, FC Porto, and AC Milan back in the Champions League after 7 years away. And how's this for some poetry, right? The last team we played in the Champions League was Atletico Madrid, and we're getting them in the group stage. So, I suppose maybe it was written in the stars. But how are we feeling? What was your first impression? Obviously, we can't get the live reaction, but what's going through your head?
I was so conflicted because I was excited and really stressed at the same time. Yes, because I was like, man,
it's over before it even started.
At the same time, I'm like, if I'm gonna go out of the Champions League, I'd rather do it against, like, after playing against like big teams, and we always talk about how we want like Milan to be in the Champions League, but we don't talk about why we want Milan to be in the Champions League. We want Milan to be in the Champions League for financial reasons, of course, but it's also because we were tired of playing against, like, I don't know, teams that I don't want to disrespect any team, but
Hero actually Champions League team in the last yeah, but I get you.
The Bodo Glimt and
Bodo Glimt.
No, but it feels good, and I get what you're saying. It's almost where Milan belong, but now the hard work starts, right? They have to show that they belong. So I think whilst we can have relatively low expectations of their performance in the Champions League, we mentioned it last week, they have to get into the Champions League now for a number of seasons in order to keep, for one, their business model sustainable, but to also build on what they've set out with Pioli. And in terms of chances, do you actually rate Milan's chances of getting out of the group? I mean, for me personally speaking, anything can happen. Milan took some scalps last season against top teams, Inter, Juve. They almost beat a decent Man United team with Samu Castillejo starting as a false 9. So it's there.
Kessie's
The quality
disallowed goal.
there. Yeah, the Kessie's disallowed goal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Fred, you were saying?
Yeah, I see a lot of people like looking at the group and be like, Milan is gone, they're not gonna do anything. But remember that the same Manchester United who barely beat us, like, trashed Roma afterwards. Like, it wasn't a bad Manchester United team that we met. It was a really good one that couldn't beat us, to be honest. They won like what, 1-0 at San Siro, I think. And then
it was from I think May gave the ball away in the 6-yard box. Like that was the reason why.
We drew at Old Trafford, and then we lost 1-0 at San Siro. And like we said, like, there was this disallowed goal from Kessie. I still don't know why it was disallowed. Like, if we're having this type of conversations with, like, after playing teams like Manchester United, And especially when you consider the fact that we got better, anything is possible. It's the Champions League. We have seen lesser teams, like teams who are weaker, that us like, go far and surprise everyone. So why not do it? I think we just need to believe we can do it. That's the most important part.
So why not dream, eh?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you? How much belief do you have that Milan can get into the round of 16?
Say like a 5.
No, I'll go a solid 7.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
I think I'm at the 6. Like, I know that Milan are not like out for the count, right? But they're also not favorites. So I think I'm somewhere in between. But I like the vibe here. I like what we're going for.
Also, I mean, like you look at Liverpool's, like their team, that the way they've started off the season, it's like Mane's not looking too good. Firmino's not looking too good. Their midfield doesn't look that amazing. Defense is like Virgil van Dijk and Trent. You know what I mean? They don't look like the Liverpool from like 2-3 seasons ago. Also, you're looking at that, like the Atletico team, and I think we can maybe get a win against them. Hopefully, what I hope is that we don't mess up against Porto. Like we need 6 points against Porto to stand any type of chance of progressing.
I think we'll win one of the big games. Like we'll beat either Liverpool or Atletico once. But I think I'm more worried about Porto because these are the type of teams that beat the hell out of us always. Like remember, where was it? Was it Lille in Europa League?
Yes, they smashed us 3-0 at the San Siro.
Yeah, that's Milan for you. Like I think we're gonna really fight against Liverpool and Atletico. Even if we lose. Sorry. It will be like tight games and games where players will show really passion and strength and everything. But then when we show up against Porto, we're gonna look embarrassing. I can already see it coming. I can see it coming.
Is that the missing 3 on your confidence?
Yes.
Yeah. No, but you make a good point, right? Because for the most part, the expectation is not on Milan to progress. It's on Liverpool and Atletico. So Milan have very little to lose in the way they approach it. And those other 2 teams, maybe Porto to an extent, because they have gotten out of the group now on a few occasions. But that expectation can also weigh heavily. So when you go to play Porto, like you said, it can become a really messy thing because you are expected to win those games. Whereas you can go to Anfield, you can go to, I think it's a Wanda Metropolitano Stadium.
Wanda Metropolitano, yeah.
You can go there and you can like snatch a draw, you can snatch a win. You might even play Liverpool off the field. I mean, we don't know. But against Porto, I think in the back of the players' minds, it's like, okay, so this team would most likely be the team 4th on the list if it was 2007. So it's that weight of expectations to carry. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm honestly just looking forward to not play against Wi-Fi passwords, like you said, Fred. It's about time Milan actually play against the top teams. And also, like you said, going out against top teams, there's nothing wrong with that. You can keep your head high and still take a loss. So I won't lie, I was a bit stressed out right before they went to pot 4, I was fine. The minute they started reading the names from pot 4, I don't even want to talk about it. I was just so stressed.
I just want to say, as long as we don't leave the group with 0 points, I'm good.
Yeah, that would be so embarrassing.
That would be so bad. That would be bad. Like, let's not do that.
Look, I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to take
that
something.
Might happen.
It's going to take Spezia level performances, Spezia away level performances to get 0 points off those teams. Yeah, I mean, moving on, right? It's 24 hours left of the window, and we alluded to it earlier about the players brought in and the squad depth. what do you make of Milan's window? They've signed, I think, 9 players, 10 including Adli, if I'm not mistaken. Those including the guys you redeemed, Tomori, Tonali, and Brahim Diaz. Well, what do you make of the window?
I'm just a bit disappointed that we weren't able to sign a right wing or another number 10.
I mean, there's still what, 20 hours left. So the names that popped up, there was James. We spoke about James, Isco, Asensio is another name that's a really, I don't know how they pulled that off.
I can't see any of those. Bar the James deal, I can't see any other name popping up and materializing in the last 24 hours of the market. Unless I saw apparently that we were in discussions again with Messias. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Junior Messias.
Yeah. Junior Messias, yeah. Apparently those talks opened up again after we failed to sign Favre.
But wasn't he, wasn't he also like plan C? I believe that Elliot didn't want to greenlight the deal for 10 million. I think that was the latest I read on it. But I mean, like a guy like Asensio, obviously he's going to earn way higher wages than Favre from Brest. The transfer fee is going to be high. I don't think there'll be a transfer fee if Maldini manages to pull it off. And again, it's just a hypothesis. It's probably going to be a loan with an option. But again, the motivation for Asensio to come to Milan and succeed, it's not the same like the guy that Brest just essentially chopped up the deal. He was pretty much lined up, willing to move to the club. And I don't know if there's another player like that who is willing to play for Milan and isn't someone that's an afterthought in a different team. You know, someone who wants the club. I don't know. I was fully expecting Maldini to pull this latest deal off for the Brest guy. But it's just
I think they also got upset with us offering them like 10 mil plus 2 mil bonuses when they were asking for 15. So it looks like they just pulled the plug on the deal entirely, and they were just like, "No, you're going to stay now. We're not selling you to anyone."
There's also rumors that they canceled the deal because he refused to travel with the team when they were playing Strasbourg over the weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, he didn't travel with him.
He was trying to engineer a move away from Brest. But it's a curious one. I mean, I won't lie, it's a bit annoying. And that for me would have been essentially a 10 out of 10 transfer window, if I'm being completely honest, with the signings of Bakayoko and Adli. But if a right wing doesn't come, do you have the same optimism going into the rest of the season?
Yeah, of course. I think I was really worried about the number 10. But seeing how Brahim Diaz is playing, I'm more confident about that. I'm more worried about the right winger because with Castillero leaving, I think we'll need the replacements. I don't see Florenzi being that replacement at all. I think he's a bit rusty, and also I prefer to see him more as a Calabria backup than the right winger. So we really need a proper right winger who can, be very different to Salamanca's and bring different solutions to that right wing, because it's still the weakest part of our starting 11. Because I know Salamanca's is a player that contributes a lot, but it's just not enough. Let's be honest. So we still need that winger on the right side that can make a difference, and we still don't have that guy. That's my biggest issue with our Mercato so far. So, but I still think we're gonna buy a right winger. I mean, if Castillo is leaving, obviously we have to buy one. If we don't, it's failure. We have to, because if we don't, it's going to be a problem. Like at some point this season, we're gonna regret that. We need to buy a right winger. It's very important to us. I think it's more important to us than like buying a number 10 now, because we're really lacking like a proper winger on that right side, I think.
Do you believe anything of the rumors that James Rodriguez was offered to us on a fee by Mendes? Because apparently Everton just want to get rid of him and get rid of his wages.
I mean,
And apparently, I think he's a free agent by the end of the season.
I do.
And would you be open to taking him?
I don't think for free, but I think, where there's smoke, there's a fire. These rumors pitched up about a month and a half ago. And then they vanished, and now they're here again. And I mean, everyone who's been following what's happening at Everton knows that James is completely out of the picture.
He's frozen out.
He's completely.
Benitez apparently told him he doesn't see him in his plans at all.
Yeah. So I mean, he's someone who is looking for a club, and I mean, last minute, right? Would you take him? Even if you have to pay like a 10 to 12 million fee, I mean, if you're willing to fork that type of money out for Messias and whoever, Miranchuk, I think was another name that came through.
From Atalanta, yes.
Would you put 10 million at the deal for James Rodriguez and still pay him higher wages, or go for another loan plus option sort of thing?
I won't take Rodriguez at all.
Stay away from him.
I wouldn't. I don't think we need.
But what about the source?
I think if you pay a lot of money, like a player, I think if you're gonna pay a lot of money to a player, it has to be someone in their prime. I'm sorry, but I just don't see Rodriguez in his prime. Like he's way out of his prime, and I think if you're gonna pay 7 million to a player, it has to be someone who's gonna be like having the best years. And for example, Kessie is asking for 7-8 million now. Yeah, you should give it to him because he's entering his prime. It's the best football. He's playing the best football of his career right now. So you have to pay him that money. Rodriguez, no, not really. Like take that money and offer that to a player who's going to actually play and make a difference, instead of paying a player who may or may not turn out good. Because it would be a gamble, I think, because we don't know how many games he's going to play because he gets injured a lot. We don't know if he's going to be any good. Like, it's so many question marks. I don't think it's worth it.
I think management will also stay away from a move like that. I don't think they're looking at it like favorably or anything like that.
I mean, then, okay, like just to play devil's advocate, what are your other alternatives?
What about Zaccagni?
I think Zaccagni is actually off to Lazio, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it? From Hellas Verona. Oh my word.
Because he posted decent numbers.
And he's a 10, I think. But I mean, even Ilicic, those rumors just died.
I don't know. Like one day he was basically a Milan player, and then the next day him and Gasperini made up, and now they're back in bed with each other.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening in that. No.
I think for Ilicic, we just decided to go in a different direction. I don't think it was about Gasperini at all. We know how Gazidis feels about.
I think we are losing you.
He doesn't really like old players. We already have Giroud. Am I back on?
Yeah.
Yeah, now you are back. But I mean, I think we got the gist of what you're saying. He prefers the younger guys you can bring in at a low cost and ship off at a higher price. I mean, look, just to completely take away from this subject, right? In terms of the business model, how does that apply to Kessie? Everyone has their opinions already about it. I have mine, but is it sustainable, right? You mentioned Gazidis wanting to bring in younger players that they can sell. But what happens when those younger players become very good players who demand a lot of money, and you know that you're either going to pay up or you're going to let them leave? We've seen it with Donnarumma. Of course, the circumstances were different. The agent wanted 25 million commission. With Hakan, we saw something else, him trying to engineer a move away. But it seems like Kessie wants to stay, but he also wants to be paid, in my opinion, what I think is his worth. So do you reward a player like that with a 7 million contract and subsequently sell him off if it's unsustainable? Like, how would you approach that?
I think if you look at our business model and you look at where we are right now as a club, I don't think management looks at the club and the financials right now and says, we're at the point where we can afford to pay you 7 mil right now. Maybe if we make Champions League for another 2 seasons, clear out some more debt and stuff like that, in 2-3 seasons' time, that might be okay. But if I look at it just from what they feel right now, I don't think they look at the club and they feel that we are financially ready to start paying a player 7 mil a season right now. Maybe in the future, yes, but not right now.
But then, if that's the case, why would they allow the players to I think Kessie has 1 year left in his contract as well. And now you have the risk of losing another player for free, and you're not making any profits from those young players you're buying. I think what Farhan is saying is that you have young players, you buy them at low cost, right? But then they develop and then they become really good. But then you don't profit because they are going out for free. So because you don't want to pay them. So what is your business model here?
Yeah, and
are you trying to?
I actually checked, right? If you add up the base market value of Donnarumma, Hakan, and Kessie, it's over 150 million euros, and that's just your base value. So that's not what you can negotiate. And usually there's still an additional 30 to 40% over and above the player's base value, particularly when they are young and entering their prime. But yeah, Fred, right? It does seem to me that they want their bread buttered on both sides. And I mentioned this in a tweet. It's, you pick one. You either a selling club where you are well aware of your players' potential, and you also know that you're going to sell them. But the thing is, you have to sell them. The other option is you have to keep your top players at the club, and you have to keep them satisfied, and you have to meet their demands. So it's a tough one. I mean, I don't envy being in that position. But for me, if you can't make a choice to reward your best player from last season, then what are you really doing at the end of it? And if you let him walk for free, I mean, that's a sin.
A few moments later.
I don't know what happened there.
They let your contract expire. I think that's what happened there. Yeah, but that's the point I was making is you're going to have to sell them or you're going to renew them. You can't, it's not sustainable. And I don't care who's going to tell me about wage structures, right? You're telling me you're going to take a hit of 150 million euros in transfer money. And it doesn't seem logical.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, if we have to sign Calhanoglu for 6 mil a season, and the reason being we don't want him to leave for free, what are the offers that we're going to get for him if we tie him down to a 6 mil a season contract? Because if we're going to have to sell him, he needs to go somewhere else where he's going to earn more.
No, look, obviously I mentioned the Hakan situation. I think he already had one foot out the door. So I don't know if the
I think a lot of the times what's happening with some of these players is, in the case of Donnarumma, Kessie, and Calhanoglu, is that these players and their agents are using the fact that their contracts are nearly running down and that they can leave on a fee to get bigger and better wages elsewhere. That I don't think that if those players were tied down to a new contract at Milan, that if those clubs had to come and buy them, that they would pay them necessarily those same wages. Because, I mean, when we started these negotiations for Kessie, apparently a few months back, first I heard it was 5 mil. Then it was a meeting with him and his agent, and then it became 6 mil, and now it's becoming 7 mil, and it's apparently Tottenham with Paratici offering them these wages on the basis that he signs for them on a free next season, without Tottenham paying any sort of transfer fee for us. Because, I mean, he's coming here with a 7 million euro offer a season, as a free agent because there's no offer from Tottenham to us. So I think they are also using this to like inflate their wages a bit. And I think the club is looking at it and saying, you are artificially inflating your wages because you're skipping, you're avoiding paying a transfer fee to us. And you're coming to us with these fees and asking us for these wages.
I mean,
Do you see, if you
can apply
if
that
you
to
enter, are you offering Chalanoglu 6 mil a season and offering us 20 mil over 5 years? No, you're not. You're telling him, I'll give you 6 mil if you come on free. So now you have to look at it and say, what is your actual value for you as a player when we are negotiating with you? Because essentially for me, it's like it's a player and the agent obviously working out to like cover their means and their best interests at heart, which is obviously you want to stay at a club and you want to maximize your earning potential.
I mean, I was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a good point. That's actually a good point.
I get what you're saying, right? But if you're a player and you are a top player, and comparatively to the rest of Europe, if you are one of the best players in that position, but you are also earning the same money as I think Pinamonti, who plays for Inter, who's on loan somewhere, I think at Empoli. Kessie, that's his current contract. So at what stage do you as a professional look to be rewarded accordingly, according to your contribution? Because I think Kessie walks into any top European team, and the top European teams, if he goes to Atletico, Liverpool, Real Madrid, whatever it is, they're not going to hesitate to give him the 7 mil because, like Fred said, he's approaching his prime. So is there a moment in time where you almost have to bite the bullet? Or one in the hand is worth two in the bush. Sometimes it's a difficult decision.
I think for me, for what management have done so far, I think they've, in signing Bakayoko and signing Adli and leaving him on loan, I feel in a way we've sort of sent a warning shot to Kessie and his agent to tell them, listen, stop this. No player is irreplaceable at this club. And I mean...
Yes, but that's good and all. But one thing we have to understand that you cannot keep getting away paying your best players peanuts. You understand that? Theo Hernandez earns 1.5 million a year. That's criminal.
Yeah, it is
crazy.
I mean, it was criminal that Calabria was also earning even less. But I mean, also at the end of the day,
Shot is not in.
For me,
I really don't. I'm really shocked that Theo Hernandez is not gone to PSG right now because with his wages, I just thought that PSG wouldn't have a problem getting him away from Milan because right now anybody can offer him better. Literally anybody.
Yeah. And at Man City are in for a left back. That come the end of this current season, I think they're going to look. They're going to seriously look because that's one of their weakest areas. And if they're going to give him a 6.5, 7 million contract, I wouldn't blame him personally for leaving. Yeah. It's one of those things. You, as a club, like you have to. If you want to be a top club, you have to be a top club. You can't keep. You can't want to pay. You can't want to pay Messi what you paying Brahim Diaz or Daniel Maldini. It's never going to work out like that. That's why these guys get these big salaries, and because they do what nobody else can do. And Hernandez is one of the best left backs in the world. Kessie is one of the best central midfielders in the world. Milan, in my opinion, I just think even if it's going to shift the wage structure, even if you're going to pay a little more, for me it makes more sense because he'll still benefit the team. And someone like Kessie, I can almost guarantee that a Premier League team will easily drop 80 million, 90 million euros at his feet to move. And if it's the right time to sell, it's the right time to sell.
But that's the thing. If you're not willing to pay a lot of money to your players, then make sure you sell them as soon as they start shining. The thing with Milan, like you said, they want it both ways. They don't want to sell as soon as the player starts shining and everything. But then at the same time, they want that player who's now really good to still accept like being paid, being underpaid. And it cannot work both ways. You get a player for cheap and then he becomes really good. And then you make a choice whether you want to keep the player and pay him a lot of money to stay, or you be like, you just say that, okay, we don't pay players like this here. So we're going to sell you now and make a profit and then buy another young player for cheap and then hope that that player develops again. And then we can, repeat the process. The thing is, Milan wants to keep Kessie, they want to keep Benacer, Theo Hernandez, and all those good players, but they don't want to pay them. How is it going to work?
For me, it doesn't.
Look, I think for me, it's not a matter of we don't want to play. Because, I mean, look, Calabria came off the end of a fantastic season last season, and we were able to come to an agreement with his agent. I think the thing with Kessie, and if you look at like what Maldini and Mazzara inherited, is they inherited these players that were signed under the Fasone and Mirabelli era 4 years ago, who sort of came towards the end of their contracts now and were left in like a bit of a tough situation as well.
But
So I think there is also a willingness,
I know
because I don't see us having a problem re-signing Hernandez also this season.
I think you have to understand that Calabria renewed after coming. It came after his renewal came after like seasons of him underperforming. Like this was like him like coming back to his best and everything after being really bad for a long time. So he knows that
he also inherited that position. It's not like he was brought in as a top player or prospect. He inherited it from Conte because Conte was injured. So he had no choice. It's sink or swim. So
he knows where he comes.
Another angle.
The other thing is,
sorry, Rose.
how many seasons have we seen Kessie in the for like 4 seasons that he's been here? How many other seasons have we seen where he performed like last season? That now warrants a 7 mil.
I mean, look.
You never played a game in Champions League, and now you're going around shopping around as a free agent, getting offers of 7 mil and coming to us and asking us for 7 million.
I think the basic principle, right? If you're going to give someone a 5-year contract, you're paying them for the additional 5 years. So Kessie's entering his prime. He's one of the hottest assets right now in football. So if you're going to give him a 5-year contract on 7 million a year, you're paying him for the 5 years to come because he has reached that level. And in my opinion, for close to 2 years, he's been solid. And guys like Barella as well. Barella is earning less, but Barella's next contract is probably going to be 6 to 8 million.
Yeah, 6, 7 more.
That's the way things are progressing. And another thing I just wanted to bring up is, what does it mean from the sporting perspective, from what our project is? How does that look to top players? If Milan want to bring, say they're in the Champions League for 2 years, it's now 2 years later in the Champions League, they finish second again, they won a cup, and they want to start bringing in top players. What does that mean for the top players they want to bring in? Are they going to pay them very little, or are they actually going to meet them and meet their demands to bring them in? Because looking at it from that perspective, I don't think Milan is an attractive team to go to, if you are a top player, if you're not going to be rewarded accordingly. So
for me, it's a matter of, if in 2 years' time we consistently make Champions League and we do well and we improve, I think we will be willing to pay more. And I don't, if I'm sitting here 2 years from now, 2 seasons, anything can happen. I'm not going to say no to a club because they let a player go 2 seasons ago on a free because they weren't willing to meet and have an agreement with their previous player. If you meet an agreement with me on what I want, I don't mind.
I mean, but
things change.
For me, it's more of a pattern now. We've seen it happen twice. It's now likely the 3rd time if Kessie doesn't renew. So if this is the principle and the stance they're taking, that they have their wage structures and they're not going to change it.
What is the biggest problem?
I think for me, that's also what they were told by the ownership.
Yeah, because this will be the 3rd time. And it's not going to look good on the team, on the club overall, because you will be losing the third player like for 2 straight years for free, and that would be not just the third player within the team. That's a third starter, because Çalhanoğlu was a starter, Donnarumma was a starter, and then Kessie. That's three starters in 2 years to leave for free. That's not a good look. It doesn't matter how you look at it. You're just losing money at this point, because it's clear, if you're not making money, then you're losing it, because that's when you take all three players, that's maybe 100 million gone like this, maybe more. And for a club that needs money, it's weird to keep losing players for free. And I don't know. And it's not like we're paying a lot of players a lot of money. I think only right now, since Donnarumma left, only Zlatan and maybe Giroud earn a lot. The rest
I think
of the
even
team,
Giroud's on like
Giroud is
4
on like,
million.
yeah, 3 or 4 million. Isn't Romagnoli on 3.5?
I think Romagnoli is also on like 3.5, 4.
So I think, yeah, those are top
and
earners.
only top earner. So it's not like you cannot afford to give another player, because everyone was talking about how we save money by letting Donnarumma go and not giving Çalhanoğlu 7 million. But then where's that money we saved? Because we're not paying, we're not willing to give a raise to our most consistent player. So where's that money?
And
Where is it?
furthermore, right, we're talking about the things changing, but if things don't change, we tied down Sandro Tonali now, and they're getting Yassin Adli in, Bakayoko, Pobega is going to come back on loan at the end of this new season. Do you cash in on someone like Benacer? If nothing's going to change, that's their policy. It's going to have to be the policy. In year 3 of a 4-year contract, they're going to have to start selling the guys if they're not going to give them bigger contracts. So,
but for me, it's Kessie's leaving on a free. We 1 year left. We're in a transfer market where nobody has money and everyone's looking for a bargain. No one's even come to us with an offer for Kessie yet.
But yeah,
if you're another top European club and you're in the race for a guy that's like Frank Kessie, why is nobody coming in for an offer? Offering us 20 mil. I mean, surely if management doesn't want to pay him 7 mil a season, like his agent's asking in the last few days of the transfer market, and somebody says, we'll give you 20 mil, you'd take that.
I mean, off the bat, right, they rejected Spurs. I think Spurs were giving him 8 million.
Yeah, I think he said no or something.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
So look, we don't know what's behind the scenes. We only know what's been made public, and that's what's been made public. But you're right, it's not a buyer's market right now. By January, things should pick up. What then? If he's still not renewed, he's going to walk for free regardless of whether or not the market is still.
Yeah, understand that no one is going to offer a lot of money like today to a player with 1 year left in his contract. That's just the business today. If you see a player with 1 year left,
nobody's even offering anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what, honestly.
If by next year you still want to keep doing this, like with the players, if you don't want to pay players more than 5 million, then next year you have to sell Benacer and you have to sell Theo Hernandez, because we're going to find ourselves in the same situation again if we wait and try to convince them to get less than they deserve. Because let's be honest, I think Kessie deserves like everything he's asking for. A lot of people today want to bring up how he's been inconsistent or whatever, but the only time Kessie has been bad was under, I think it was Gianpaolo, and then he struggled a little bit and Montella.
He wasn't setting the world alight for me in his first 2-3 seasons at Milan.
Who was?
Like no one. Çalhanoğlu neither. That's why my friend, bye-bye. Like, don't come here with 7 mil.
I mean, look at it in the context also of Milan. Kessie has been, I think, next to Donnarumma, the most important player in the last 2 years. Romagnoli tailed off. Zlatan has been injured. Calabria has been good. He's been solid, but he hasn't been that good that warrants it. So for me, like if Hakan is demanding 7 straight off the bat, it's like, are you insane? And we all agree on that, right? But
yeah, definitely.
Kessie he arrived at Milan at the time where the club was basically going under, and he
Yeah.
picked it up, and he picked it up big time. He didn't just step up. He's now at the very top, and I think he can still improve on that. And why? He's 24 years old.
Yeah.
I think he's 24 years
And
old.
this is a player who can easily play 30 games a season.
Yeah.
Like
No problem.
Never.
He can play every game this season.
Yeah. Like it's not just someone you can replace like that because he's so reliable, and I don't know. If he can play 30 games and can be good in most of those games, then what more do you want from a player? Like his role is literally to be a wall, a rock in the midfield, and he's been there every
In
game.
addition to that, he scores goals. It's undeniable. He's in terms of what he brings as an attacking threat.
Yeah.
Yes, I
He's our
mean,
best
look, realistically, which other midfielder has that mixture of skill? I mean, I can't think of one. Ndombele was 1 years ago, but he went to Spurs
Yeah,
and
he
he just
tailed off.
completely fell off.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I would just pay Kessie. Obviously, for me, it's still reasonable. It's not like he's asking for 10. It's not like he's being like Mino Raiola, where, an average salary for a goalkeeper, I think, is like 6. And the very, very good ones, the world-class ones, get 8. And he wanted 10. I'd even argue that it's worth it. If you're going to tie him down to a 5-year contract, pay him 10. But this is nowhere near as much, and I don't know. I think this club are better off keeping him, and they're not going to find it easy replacing him. I mean, Tonali isn't ready yet. He's great, but he's not yet ready yet. Bakayoko, well, he's like 28 years old. He is nowhere near the player he was at Monaco. Where do we look? Are we going to take another gamble on a youngster? It's just, I don't know.
At least we must look at it with some positivity. We replaced Donnarumma with a really good replacement, and we upgraded on Çalhanoğlu's replacement.
Yeah. But I think
I wouldn't like to replace him. I would love for him to stay, but I think management, like, one thing they've been consistently firm with negotiations with players and agents and clubs that they want to buy players from and things like that. If they value a player at 6 million and somebody else comes in and says, we're offering him 8, then you can take him. We keep our valuation at 6.
Yes, but I still think losing Kessie will be a disaster. It won't look good for the club, like at all.
If we, oh my word, we'll start resembling Wenger's Arsenal. Remember when players just bounced on a free? Nasri.
Yeah. And like you said, you can you replace Donnarumma, and Çalhanoğlu was not even a player we really wanted. It was like
could have replaced him with Daniel Maldini.
That one guy that really thought he was good, but at the end you just be like, good, dude.
Sucks. You're not that guy. Not that guy.
Yeah,
he's good. He's good for like a collective 3 months in 4 years. That's his.
Yes.
Like against the Genoa on the opening day of the season.
No,
Yeah.
I think we can debate this until the cows come home. So I'm gonna move. Let's just move past this, right? So a quick question. At the end of the international break, on the assumption that Benacer reaches full fitness, Kessie recovers from his injury, and it's now we're at home to Lazio, and now who is your midfield? Who do you pick?
For me, it's Tonali and Kessie. I wouldn't want to curtail Tonali's positive start to the season. And I think with the two of them going to AFCON, I think we really need to give him minutes
But
so that he can build on this performances that he's had.
yeah, but to me, it's not really a problem because we have Lazio, Liverpool, and then Juventus back to back, so we can switch, between Benacer, Tonali. But I think the only one that starts all 3 games is Kessie. because
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, if
Tank.
he's fit, he plays. Like there's no
Yeah.
arguing. So
Yeah,
it's always
I'm inclined to
between-
agree. I'm inclined to agree. And you mentioned Lazio, Liverpool, and Juventus. That's Liverpool at Anfield, I think Lazio at San Siro, and Juve at the
Juve.
Allianz.
Allianz.
What are you looking in terms of results? Just what do you think we're getting from those games? I think a
I
win
think
at
we'll beat
Lazio.
Lazio.
Yeah.
We'll beat Juventus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we'll beat Juventus. Slapped them up 3-0 last time we were at the Allianz.
I mean,
And then
I
hopefully we get a
also-
point against Liverpool.
Captain positivity here. I like your energy. I wish I could be that. I wish I could be that optimistic. I think a draw. I think a draw against Juve at the very least. I think a win against Lazio. But keep in mind they've been scoring so many goals. They look so good. And I think a draw against Liverpool might be on the cards. But anything can happen. It's the Champions League. I don't know.
I'm actually on the opposite side. I think we're gonna draw against Lazio, and we're gonna lose against Liverpool, and then we're gonna beat Juventus.
Yeah.
We're gonna give Max Allegri a welcome back present.
Well, I don't see us winning at Anfield or even getting a point. They're gonna beat us. I think we're gonna get a point against them at San Siro, but not in the stadium. I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
But we're beating Juventus. Like they are so bad this season. I'm not even scared of them. Like, look at their midfield, bro. Like,
Yeah, it's shocking.
Fabio and Bentancur or whatever his name is.
I saw he brought Bernardeschi on for someone, and he played Bernardeschi on like the right-hand side of a three-man midfield.
You know, the funniest part to me in the loss against Empoli was that they were losing, and then he brought on the Shilio out of all everyone.
The guy looked Benta errors past.
He looked at his bench and he was like, "Yeah, I think I need the Shilio now."
But like, look, in terms of difference makers, you've seen how poor Szczesny is this season. We've seen how, like, I just think how Handanovic is constantly declining because he's so old. Manyan is it. You know, you talk about the difference maker, and we had so many doubts, myself included, but he looks like he can fill Donnarumma's boots and then some. And I just wish Lloris would retire so he gets to play with the French national team. But in the first game, his distribution was fantastic. He played that long ball to, I think it was Calabria, to outmuscle the defender and cut the ball back.
Yes, for the goal.
Yeah, and then a few goal line saves, one against the Cagliari guy, I think it was a header on the line, he stopped it. So like a goalie like that can also win you points, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mania has really impressed me so far. I think he's very calm and very good with his feet. I don't know. I've seen some people criticize him for not being good with his feet. I don't know what they are watching, but I can definitely say that he's very good with his feet. I like his long balls. I know a lot of goalkeepers like playing short passes these days, but I've missed like having that goalkeeper who can see from far and then just pass long balls and like you said, that goal from like the first game, like with the Brahim Diaz goal, came from him. Like, it was a pass from him to Calabria. And you don't see a lot of these things these days, and it's good. And with someone like Giroud or Zlatan up front, it's really helpful. So yeah, I'm really happy with like I've seen from him so far. It's looking good.
Lastly, just one more thing. How do you feel about Calabria being the captain this year? It seems like Romagnoli is out of the picture. He might be sold. We don't know, but How do you guys feel about Calabria being the captain? Right decision to lead the club forward? Kessie, do you think someone else should have it?
I think for me personally, it's just like an armband thing. I think there's so many different like captains and leaders on this team. There's Calabria, there's Kessie, there's Kjae, there's Zlatan. I think we're fortunate in that regard. Maybe you looked back at Milan a few years ago, you looked and you thought, who on earth is Captain Matteo on this team?
And
I don't think
just
we
a side note,
have that right now.
Bonucci is one of the worst captains of all time. I'm just putting it out.
Oh, without a doubt.
Tragic. That is so bad.
It was horrible.
Like I get anxiety when I see pictures of Bonucci in a Milan kit with the captain's armband. I don't know how.
I'm so happy I never bought these kit.
I think it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing giving him the armband. Like someone just comes in and then you just give it to him.
Like, so do you guys remember the optimism when Romagnoli took the captain's armband over the next season after he left? It was like good riddance. We finally getting rid of this like imposter and yeah. But I agree with both of you. I think Milan, for a change, have a lot of leaders on the field, and in terms of being that guy, I think Sandro Tonali can be that guy long term. So if and when Elliott decide to sell half the team, I think Sandro Tonali will very much be a Milan captain in the future.
If they decide not to sell him as well.
That's if they decide not to sell. Yeah, I think we can end it on that. We've run for almost an hour. But it's always a pleasure spending time with you guys. So thank you, Fred. Thank you, Firoz. Thank you to the audience who watches this. Please like, share, subscribe. Hopefully the quality of the videos will get better as we progress, which is starting out. And we appreciate all the support. We will see you hopefully before the international break ends or after the Lazio game, in which case I just want to ask quickly, predictions. Let's just get it out of the way. Predictions for the Lazio game, and then we can say goodbye.
I think we'll beat them 3-1.
3-1 and 2-2. Oh, but by the way, my first prediction was like the stingy 1-0 win. I'm ready to claim that. Thanks. But yeah, Firoz, I hope you are right. I hope you're right, and we managed to steal the points from Lazio. I don't know if they're only going to score one goal. I think it might be closer to like 3-2, 3-3. At least we know we're in for an exciting game.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
definitely.
Thank you guys for joining me here tonight. It's quite late. It's nearly midnight. I don't want to keep you any longer. And lastly, Forza Milan.
Forza Milan.
I fucked it up last week, by the way. I fucked it up royally.